Надо, да, понимаешь, да. И это хорошо, это здоровье, счастье, любовь, и это мужество, понимаешь? Да, это сам за себя, да. И это людям надо, понимаешь? А кто тебя заставляет против людей это делать? Я что не говорил, что против это и есть она белая обезьяна ваша, всегда ловушка твоя, да, ну понял тебя. Да. Не знаю, постепенно, не знаю, да. Ну, это, вот видишь. То есть все можно, оказывается. Понимаешь? И, да. Понимаю, это дело, да. Но видишь, не пугай меня тогда, не возвращай. Постепенно, тонко, стезей как-то, да. Ладно. Поехал, короче, уже, да. Поехал. Да. Видишь, да. Ну вот это истина самая. Да, и все. А не надо. Маму любят, маму жалко, все плачут, понимаешь? Маму любят. Да, понимаю,
интересы России. Видимо, их в Киеве накануне искал госсекретарь Блинкен, пообещал Зеленскому дополнительные 300 миллионов долларов военной помощи. А украинскую столицу, то ли имея в виду количество американских инструкторов, то ли российских военных у границ.
Да, ярко.
Oi, aqui é o Dr. Wesley Schunk. Eu estou passando aqui rapidinho para avisar que acabei de revelar qual o segredo daquelas pessoas que de fato conseguem perder peso de uma forma saudável. Neste vídeo exclusivo, eu vou te mostrar em detalhes o passo a passo que eu já usei em mais 5 minutos.
Today we're going to talk about how to burn off belly fat as fast as possible. And this video is for beginners. And I'm going to show you the basics of how to do it. But there's some very important details that you need to know. There's actually 5 vital and practical tips that you don't really find in books. And I've discovered these just with experience, working with so many people for so many years. So I'm going to break it down. I'm going to make it very, very simple because so many people get overwhelmed with all these details of how to do keto. It's overcomplicated, and then some people just kind of give up. So let me just show you the 5 most important things to focus on so you can be very, very successful right from the beginning and not end up where a lot of people end up, where they get this plateau and they just can't seem to get past a certain point. So it's always very, very important to learn from other people's mistakes so you don't have to make them. And in this video, I just want you to get the very important things. You're going to have other questions. For those questions and additional details, I have a million videos you can watch later. But at least let's get you started with the most important tips. Now, what is the goal of getting on the ketogenic plan? The goal is to bring your insulin levels as low as possible. That is the goal. If your insulin levels are low, you have a maximum fat burning, you have a maximum ketosis. Ketosis is a state of producing ketones. Ketones are the byproduct of fat burning. And so the more ketones you generate, the more fat you're going to burn. And the faster you're going to lose your midsection. Now, at the very top level of keto, we have these macros. We have carbohydrates, and you want to keep your carbs between, people say between 30 and 50 grams, but I'm going to tell you keep them below 20 grams or less, especially if you want to speed things up. And then we have protein. We want to keep that between 3 to 6 ounces of protein per meal, but that varies depending on your size and your metabolism and your age and how many meals you're consuming. If you're just doing OMAD, 1 meal a day, obviously you're going to be doing more protein. If you're a bodybuilder, if you're exercising a lot, you're going to need a little bit more. But for the average person, just consume the amount of protein per meal the size of the palm of your hand. Okay? That's it. I just want to keep it really, really simple. Now, as far as fat goes, you're going to be consuming 75% of your calories of fat. Now, what does that mean, 75% of your calories? How much is that in grams or ounces? So for this video, I'm not going to get into the complexities of measuring different grams to get your macros. So when I explain the tips, you'll understand how much fat you'll need. All right, tip number 1. Instead of counting your grams of carbs, it's going to be much easier to consume certain carbs that you don't have to count, okay? And I'm talking about
Да, работаю хорошо просто и все.
В ворота гостиницы губернского города НН въехала довольно красивая, рессорная, небольшая бричка. В какой...
Хотим стабильных отношений и готовы к серьезному диалогу РГ Анна-Лена Бербак после приземления в России. Пока она летела из Киева в Москву, немецкая пресса...
Welcome, everyone. I'm Michael Tilson Thomas. I'm very happy to have a few moments to speak with you about a brief introduction to conducting and some thoughts that have occurred to me over the years, many things that were transmitted to be my major teacher, Ingolf Dahl, and also many other thoughts that I've gathered by watching many people and also by doing a fair amount of this of myself, making some mistakes and trying to learn from the mistakes that I made and hoping to give you a clue into those things which I think worked the best and most purposively, and how we can spend a little time in anticipation of our meeting in person, talking about some situations, conducting in general, and then the specific musical situations that we're going to encounter in these pieces by Haydn and Brahms. Let me start by saying a few words about conducting in general. What I believe is the most important to recognize in being a conductor is that a conductor is there to help those who are really making the music to do what they do absolutely the best. A conductor is like a combination of a coach, of a director, sometimes a teacher, certainly someone who must represent primarily a force of great encouragement, sometimes a force of caution, and who is always present to give performers that important extra perspective, the perspective which is someone who is slightly in and outside of the music, who is able to watch and listen to someone who is deeply engaged in playing all of these many hundreds, thousands of notes that come up. And in the same way, a director in the theater would, offering them the perspective of how is this coming across? How could you make what you do clearer? How could our intentions be more unified? And also from the perspective of what a coach in athletics does, making suggestions as to how all of this could be accomplished less effortly, with less effort, with more sense of unified purpose. When the conductor stands before the orchestra, he tries to stand there with an attitude which is one of quiet authority based on really knowing the music and also being able to communicate with as few interruptions as possible, the most specific information about what is happening and what needs to happen to make the music as vivid as it needs to be. When you're a young conductor, there is that difficulty sometimes in listening, in hearing what really is going on, and in being able to pinpoint exactly what needs to happen in order to make it better. The primary way you have of influencing all of these things is through the beat itself. And before we start, I want to offer a few comments about the way the beat works. First of all, as Ingolf used to say, you can learn everything that you need to know about conducting in very few seconds because there are only so many possibilities, the three basic possibilities in conducting. You can only beat in a few ways. Up and down, which generally makes the music go quicker and or possibly more marcato and more staccato. From side to side, which makes the music in general become more sustained and possibly slower. Forward, away from you, which causes the music in general to become louder, and back towards you, which signals that the music should become quieter. So only these three beat possibilities, up, down, side to side, back and forth. Everything else is just a combination of applying these principles in different and sometimes sophisticated ways. But listen, it's not nuclear physics we're talking about here. It's a very fundamental concept of the way time is represented by the conductor who is leading the ensemble. The beat itself is a representation of time. It is a representation of the length of now that unites the musical principles. Sometimes a beat can be a very quick thing. It can be bop, 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 or it can be a longer pulse, beam, bom, 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 beam, bom, or any variation more exaggerated, even those two examples. But the beat itself most ideally describes the actual time. And where that must focus is in the stick itself. I encourage you to become comfortable in using a stick, which is a very efficient and excellent tool, and will allow you to have a much greater vocabulary of movement once you actually become comfortable. The idea is the stick is in front of you. The beat that the orchestra needs to see is not over here, it's not back here, it's not coming from the shoulder or the elbow or some other part of your body. It must come from the stick itself. And the stick moves through space and describes two things: the length of the beat and the specific ictus, the moment where one beat ends and the other one begins. Especially in giving an upbeat, this is vitally important. An upbeat is part of the piece. It is a breath. It is the breath that causes the music to begin. It's part of the composition. Giving this is an essential part of what a conductor must do. And that moment of focus when the conductor is going to transmit what is the opening impulse of the piece is important and a tricky thing sometimes to grasp onto. The beat, as I say, is a representation of the length of time and a specific moment where that moment of time is cut and the next instant begins, the ictus of the beat. I found it helpful to try to represent that in terms of, again, planes, in this case, a physical plane. If for the moment we're going to say this plane represents the space, the time of the upbeat. Watch how this works. The beat comes along, starts, moves along the plane, and then releases. So the length of this beat is in a slow tempo. There. And one. And one. Four. And one. And one. 4, 1. 4, 1. But you can practice that idea of the actual time of the beat and then the ending of it. Find it first on a table and then gradually move it up into space. It's harder to feel at first up here in space, but it's the same principle. 4, 1. 4, 1.
Не дает тебе работать среди кабелей, да. Вот это главное.
4, 1. And then, of course, in 4, 4, the other parts of the beat.
Вот это что ли, да.
2, 3, 4. The beat is lined up as much as possible with the eyes. So your eyes and your stick move a lot of the time together. Follow me. We move this way, we move that way. Much more powerful this than this. At the plane of the beat. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2.
Мне деньги не дают. Ну это... Нет, дают. Не там дают.
You'll notice how important this is when seen from the side, that the planes, vertical or horizontal, are kept as clear as possible. If the beat is allowed to go up from the side, it can be very confusing. 1, 2, 3, 4. This way from the side, it's much clearer for the players where the upbeat actually is, which is the design of the beat pattern. It's really important as you concentrate on this that you remember that a lot of people are sitting in very strange perspectives relative to you and to the music. If you're someone way out on the fringes of the orchestra, at a certain moment it can be very helpful to be able to look up and interpret easily where the conductor is, where the time of the beat is, where the ictus of the beat as a rallying point in the ensemble. Vertical motions, smaller space this way, more space this way, faster. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, more, 3, 4. More lateral, slower, more sustained. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. This way, louder. This way, softer. It's these same simple principles over and over again. Small motions basically on the vertical axis. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, quicker. Broader motions on the broad axis, horizontal axis. Slower. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. This way, louder. This way, quieter. The other thing you should try and work on is imagining that the genesis of the beat can come from different portions of your body. You should become comfortable in letting the beat come from your fingertips, 1, 2, 3, 4, just coming from your fingers, or from your wrist, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, or from your forearm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, or from your whole arm. This way, this will lead you to a vocabulary of being, even without having to think about it.
Мы одни просто и все идем.
Different portions of your body being used to signal more clearly not only the position of the beat, but the character that you want it to have. Again and again in this time together, I'll be coming back to remind you of these basic principles, and also the way that when you're stuck, wondering how should you indicate what is necessary, you can come back to those basic principles. Are you trying to make it go quicker, more marcato, more sustained, slower, louder, softer? What is the deal, and how does that take you always back to the guiding principles, which are always the same in every diverse musical situation? So, now, we've said that, we'll come back to that. Let's go to the piano and look at a little bit of Haydn.
Вот это и есть смысл, да. Да, да, да. Ну это он имеет в виду, да, да. Да, да. Вот это было. Это не дирижирование. Или то и другое.
Entertaining insights with Daniel Gatti. Insights and fight with local youth orchestras in the EU. And there are these masterclasses. 3 days, eventful days, insights and entertaining insights with Daniel Gatti. 4 young conductors. I'd like to present to you Sergei Neller from Russia, Jurgen Rosen from the Czech Republic, Valentina Pelleggi from Italy, and Bruns from Poland. On the music stands, just like yesterday morning, concert Symphony No. 40 in G9. Now, welcome them warmly, the 4 conductors and their coach, Daniele Gatti.
Good morning. Let's start from the first movement of Mozart.
Ну, наоборот, да. Ну, мучить теперь меняться. Да, да, вот эти, да.
more articulation. I would like to make a feeling that it's a little bit anxious character, a little bit nervous, I would say. And also when we play the melody, let's keep on the crotchets all the time, keep the tension. Okay? Can you try it one more time? I can ask you a basic.
So, something happens in bar 3. Very long. And the space between the D and B flat is slightly wider, so there is no more ensemble. So the viola, because you ask brillante, start brillante. They play with another character, but and then the bar 3 is not perfectly together because they need space for that. Do you understand? So the question is either we have to follow that or they need to play. If the flat derives all the time to me.
So without
No, without. Okay. It's fine. Your idea is absolutely respectable, but it has to work. Then with the left. And the
Надо вообще выговорился просто. Да, ну да, вот это есть.
fine. In this case, you with a piece of you help a section to the. Okay. Try don't. Are you able to listen to the second viola? Equalize with the first viola. It's very clear from it that da da dee dee, but no. So the second viola line should be a little bit louder. Huh?
Yes.
Good.
Yes.
So,
Okay.
that's fine. One more thing. Now, the basso and the cello.
Ладно.
Okay. Very good.
Наверное, нет, но наоборот. Как ты думаешь, понимаешь, да, ты все нет, все правильно, хорошо, конкурентно.
Агенты Кингсман. Джентльмены-убийцы.
Добро пожаловать.
Кингсмен. Начало. Уже в кино.
Hey, that sounds really good what you were just playing. But I gotta ask, do you like jazz?
Шопен. N.
Well, I haven't really tried it before.
Первое.
I'm more of a classical musician, so... You can try it now. Here's some sheet music I've got handy. What is this? It's take 5. What a tune. I mean, what is this? Oh, that's a bar. It's a bar. Easy peasy.
Ты что хочешь сказать, что они никогда ни Стравинского не играли? То есть это зачем же ну, он про себя так говорит, что ну, он про себя румынов не наоборот, да.
Maybe we can try another piece. Alright, sure thing, let's have a look. Awesome, please. What a classic. Okay, this looks easy. Hang on, is there supposed to be a left hand? Hmm? Oh yeah, you just read the little letters at the top of the stave and that tells what chords to play in your left hand. Yeah, maybe let's try another one then. Okay. This one is Sandal. It's really sweet. Why is the right hand blank this time? That's because you're supposed to improvise. I'm supposed to do what? You know, make things up on the spot. Just see where the music takes you, man. Okay, this is starting to get ridiculous. Are you trying to tell me that jazz musicians pay for sheet music that isn't even finished? Hey now, you're missing the point. Look, if you really can't improvise, I didn't say that. Then all you need to do is just play the lick on top of everything. Trust me, it works. Okay, I had enough of this. As far as I can tell, jazz is absolutely rubbish. The rhythms don't make sense, the chords are chaotic and random, and the lick is an insult to everything that music stands for. So to answer your question, do I like jazz? No, I do not. Have a nice day.
Получите квартиру в Москве. Закажите
1
бесплатную...
января.
Hey guys, Dr. Berg here. In this video, I want to show you how to fix your eyes, okay? Especially if you want to read close up without glasses. And it's so funny because people wear what's called corrective glasses, but they don't really correct anything. They basically make your eyes dependent on the glasses, and you need a stronger prescription. So here's some little anatomy. You have the eye structure right here. You have the clear part, which is the cornea right here. The light comes in here. And then the iris, that's the color part, like either you have blue eyes, you have green eyes, you have brown eyes. And what happens is it hits this lens right here. And it's really the combination of the cornea, but mostly the lens, the shape of the lens, which allows you to see, focus in on something either far or near. And what controls the lens is a little muscle called the ciliary muscle. Okay, the ciliary muscle. So really the shape of the lens is controlled by this one muscle right here. When that muscle contracts, you're able to see very close up.